Okay, well, remember, Sunday's halftime in America, and, well, some Chrysler dealers don't like it at all, not one little bit. We got Jeff Bennett with the Wall Street Journal in Chicago joining us now to tell us about this. He's on the phone. Jeff, tell us what the problem was, and then we'll hear a little bit of we'll see a little bit of the clip.
Well, what the dealers are really miffed at is this thing becoming a political football. For them, they see the commercial as a rallying cry for the recovery of their company, and many of them are getting really ticked that they're watching the politicians, the political, turn it into something akin to, well, this is Chrysler paying back President Obama for helping them through the bankruptcy process. So they're kind of taking it on a personal basis. Hey, these are the guys that survived when Chrysler was in bankruptcy, and now you're trying to make this commercial, which was to celebrate it, look like, hey, thank you, President Obama, and that's not what it was meant to be.
Right. Now, of course, the irony about the ethos of the commercial, bringing people together, exemplifies exactly what it was supposed to stop. But, Jeff, isn't the fact that we're talking about Chrysler, that so many people are talking about Chrysler, isn't that great news for Chrysler dealers?
You got it, yeah. You have to admit that this is the best commercial to be talking about. I mean, we're like, 3 days past it, and it's still being talked about and still being conversed over, even at the Chicago Auto Show. You walk by people, they're still talking about this commercial. I mean, it's great. It is genius marketing.
Now, talking about the commercial and actually walking in and buying a Chrysler or a Fiat are two very different things. And I know that there are still people out there who won't buy cars from companies that got government handouts as they see it, and that's giving Ford an advantage in some ways. Is some of the talk about this is that, hey, it reminds people that Chrysler got bailed out?
I think it does to some extent. It kind of, stirs that debate a little bit. However, Chrysler's now paid back its loans, so you can't really claim that they haven't. Sure, you could say, well, the government didn't make all the money back. But then you have the Chrysler being almost the only automaker, really, who has done the amount of hiring it has done in the past, about 6 months. Just last week, it announced that it's going to hire another 1,600 people in Belvidere, Illinois, to work at its plant where it's going to produce the Dodge Dart. I mean, that's pretty big.
We're at a really interesting moment here. Yeah. If you actually looked at the TARP language through which the money was given to Chrysler and GM, this was generally an illegal bailout. And if there were a possibility of a company completely going under, Chrysler would have been that company. But you could say might makes right, end result, all's well that ends well. In this case, Chrysler is doing relatively well. It's still in business. It's piling up market share. You may not like the concept or philosophy of the bailout.
I don't. But I'm very happy for the workers.
Chrysler is still here, and that means something, right, Jeff?
Yeah, definitely. And, it's always going to continue a big debate between Detroit and New York. But we can tell you this in Detroit, if those companies would have gone into bankruptcy and fallen apart, you would have not only killed those companies, but the hundreds of thousands of suppliers that also employ hundreds of thousands of people across the country. So say what you might, but Detroit knows where they are today versus what they could have been. And, that's a lot of people could have been out of work.